Hey everyone, it's T and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, we're going to talk about Doja Cat. If you're unfamiliar with the situation, earlier, I guess during the weekend-ish, last weekend, Doja Cat basically came under fire due to allegations of hanging out in racist chat rooms, using the N-word with a hard R, race play, and she also came under fire for an unreleased song called Didn't Do Nothing, which is basically something that white supremacists on some boards like 4chan and other 4chan's not exactly racist, but other websites where white supremacists would use that to kind of mock victims of police brutality, saying, oh, he was a good boy or a good girl, and she ain't never do nothing, like things like that. So a bunch of videos surfaced, a bunch of tweets surfaced. She also had said some things negatively about 4C hair. Specifically, she said, fuck 4C hair, how difficult it was to comb, etc., etc. So a lot of people were canceling her for that and pretty upset that she would be in spaces where there were white supremacists hanging around, entertain that kind of thing. But a lot of people were also coming to her defense because although she is biracial, her mom's Jewish, her dad is South African and black. Well, her dad is black. He's from South Africa. But she doesn't have much of a connection to her father. They've never met. So a lot of people coming to her defense like, hey, she didn't have many black friends that grew up, it seems. She doesn't really have had a connection to her blackness. So that could be where some of this stuff is coming from. A lot of people, again, raking her over the coals for it, but also coming to her defense about it. There was a pretty good Twitter thread explaining some of this stuff. If I can find it, I'll put it there. And I'll also link videos that go more into depth about the things that she's said and been accused of in the description box below. If you want a more in-depth version of what happened, please feel free to check out those videos, and then also check out the Twitter thread if I can find it, defending Doja and what had happened. Anyway, she made an apology about a day ago. I think it was yesterday or the day before, where she took to Instagram Create and made a text post to kind of apologize and address what's going on. She did make another apology, which we'll talk about next, but I'm going to read this first apology first in its full context for you guys, and then I'll give my opinions on it and everything like that. I want to address what's been happening on Twitter. I've used public chat rooms to socialize since I was a child. I shouldn't have been on some of those chat room sites, but I personally have never been involved in any racist conversations. I'm sorry to everyone that I offended. I'm a black woman. Half of my family is black from South Africa, and I'm very proud of where I come from. As for the old song that's resurfaced, it was in no way tied to anything outside of my own personal experience. It was a written response to people who often use that term to hurt me. I made an attempt to flip its meaning, but recognized that it was a bad decision to use the term in my music. I understand my influence and impact, and I'm taking this all very seriously. I love you all, and I'm sorry for upsetting or hurting any of you. That's not my character, and I'm determined to show that to everybody moving forward. Thank you. So, in my opinion, it took her a few days to come out with this apology. I think it's pretty weak. Like, it's vague enough to where if you don't know the full details of the situation, you kind of think everything's being overblown and everything like that. And it's easily digestible if you don't know the situation. But it's also for those who do know of the accusations and have seen the videos and stuff. It kind of cherry picks the things that she's addressing and all of that. So it's vague and it's vague for people who don't know the situation, so they can just be like, oh, okay, overblown. And it's hyper focused enough for people who do know the situation to know that not everything's fully addressed, only the things that are kind of easily explainable away. So that's just my opinion on that apology. She did make another apology. She went to Instagram Live earlier today, I believe, which is the 26th of, what month is this? May. The 26th of May, I believe she released this live where she went on Instagram Live and explained everything. And I did find that apology better because she did fully address everything there. So just some bullet points of the apology. I'll also link the full apology video down below so you guys can look at it for yourselves and judge for yourselves. The first thing she did start off with is the comments regarding her hair. As a black woman, hair can be a big pain in the ass. For me, I have extremely thick hair. It is quite difficult to get a comb through, even when I'm straightening it and stuff. It's a big pain in the ass for me. So I can understand being frustrated with your hair. What she had said in the apology, in that first segment there, was that she made the mistake of publicly saying how difficult it is to take care of her hair, which I took issue with because I saw the clip and it's in one of these videos that I linked below. I believe it's Keisha's video that I'm going to link below that shows it. But in this clip, she specifically said, fuck 4C hair. You can't get a comb through it, blah, 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 blah. So the mistake wasn't that she publicly was saying how difficult it was to take care of her hair. The problem that people had with it, including myself, was the way that she generalized it. And that can be damaging. Like, as black women, a lot of us do have thicker hair that's more difficult to manage. So anyone can understand that. But she didn't speak in a way specific to her. Like, I'm having such a hard time dealing with my hair. 4C hair is so difficult for me to take care of. I'm having a hard time with my hair. I can't get a comb through it, blah, 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 blah. She made like a generalized statement, which understandably people were upset about. People took the wrong way. In the clip, she was clearly frustrated with it and about it. But the mistake that she made wasn't generally speaking of how difficult it was to the public. It was the way she generalized it, kind of the bite to her tone. Tone is kind of everything, unfortunately. And the tone of the clip and everything like that, I can understand why people were upset with it and, kind of accused her of being self-hating and all of that. The chat rooms. So I feel like some of this was a little overblown. So she has been frequenting Tiny Chat for a while. Tiny Chat is specifically not for white supremacists. However, like any website, white supremacists can occupy that space. It looks so, in some of the clips, it looks like she was kind of putting on a show for predominantly a group of white males a few times. So, take that as what you will. The site itself isn't racist, but again, like any website, racists can occupy that space. So I felt her explanation of the website and the people who occupy it made sense. It was fine. The rest of her apology, she kind of addressed showing her tits or not showing her tits to get the number one, which seemed kind of silly. I didn't know people were accusing her of that, but it looks like that was a thing. She also addressed the song, Didn't Do Nothing, and she did say that it wasn't a dig at Sandra Bland or police brutality in general. She was just trying to take the phrase back and use it in a way to fire back at people who were saying that to her. But what she said in the Instagram live didn't exactly jive what she said in the text statement. She basically said that she had just learned that phrase one day and it was used at her, and then she kind of made that song to fire back at it, as opposed to what the text says, which it says, for the old song that resurfaced, it was in no way tied to anything outside of my personal experience. It was written in response to people who often use that term to hurt me. So how it contradicts itself is in the live she said that she had just learned that phrase the same day. So in the language that she used for the text post on Instagram was that it was often used to hurt her. But how was it often used if you just learned of that in that one day? So that kind of was contradictory. It was a bad choice, the song. She admitted it was a bad choice. So that's all well and good. And that's pretty much the gist of the live. It's about 30 minutes. It's like 29 and some change. So I will put that in the description below if you guys want to check it out yourselves. Honestly, I don't really have a dog in this fight. I've only heard one of Doja's songs. I'm not really a fan. I'm kind of a neutral party coming into this because I don't really have any knowledge of her or any connection of her outside of the situation and the few songs that I've heard, some other tweets that resurfaced about her using the F word. Starts with an F, ends with a T. I feel like the whole situation is pretty nuanced because here's the thing. So just because you can explain behaviors doesn't mean that you can excuse them. Her using the hard R for the N-word, unacceptable, even if she is part black. Just, I don't know why she would do that, particularly in front of white people. That just doesn't make sense to me. But again, people have been saying, she didn't really have any connection to her blackness, as she is kind of estranged from her father, doesn't really know him, never met him, didn't really have many black friends growing up. And as someone who can relate to growing up in chat rooms, growing up pretty much through the eyes of the internet, not initially having that strong of a connection to my blackness, I can somewhat relate to, being unhappy with your hair, to not exactly liking yourself, although she's saying that she does like herself and she's comfortable with herself. Maybe she is now, but she wasn't before. I don't know her, so I really can't say. So, in a lot of ways, I can empathize with what she's feeling or what she was feeling, but it doesn't excuse the behavior. As far as the race play, what people do in their bedroom, that's not up to me. Even if I don't approve, you do you, whatever you want to do, that's none of my business. But I don't think she should just be willy-nilly saying the N-word, especially with a hard R in front of anyone, really, and kind of seemingly putting on a show with it, In the one clip that's surfaced where people have said that it sounds like she was telling the man to call her that, it seems like she was saying, suck my dick, and then, hard R. So I feel that clip has been kind of used out of context, but all the same, if you look at it, it does look like she's putting on a show for those people. So again, just because you can explain away a behavior doesn't mean that you should excuse it. A lot of people are apologizing to her, And if people want to forgive her, that's fine. I honestly don't know where to be on this. Because some of the things that she did was unacceptable. Being on Tiny Chat, whatever, that's a public site where anyone can occupy. If she was hanging out in specifically racist chat rooms, I'm not super familiar with Tiny Chat, so I don't know how some of the rooms are set up, but I'm sure if it's like any kind of other website or group, you can probably make a chat for that. I don't know. If anyone knows more about Tiny Chat, please feel free to educate me in the comments below. But if that does turn out to be true, unacceptable. Using the N-word with the hard R, also unacceptable. Even if she was 100% black, that would still be unacceptable in my eyes. So she's got a lot of unacceptable behavior, and even though she's apologized for it and explained it away, it's kind of up to you as a person, you as a fan, if you want to accept that or not. For me personally, I've never listened to her music. Like I said, don't have a dog in this fight. Will I probably ever listen to her music? I mean, if it's on the radio and there's nothing else on, sure, but would I actively go to seek it out? Probably not, and that was before all of this happened. So I guess the point that I'm trying to make here is the situation has turned out to be far more nuanced to kind of have this cut and dry opinion on it. I know a lot of people have been flip-flopping back and forth on it, myself included. I wasn't even going to make a video at all, but I felt like it kind of need to be said that not everything is black and white, not everything is cut and dry, and when you have situations like these with nuances, you have to actually look at those nuances and then make a decision for yourself. Like, it doesn't matter what the internet mob feels, and it doesn't matter what, apologists feel about the whole situation. It's kind of how you feel with the situation, particularly when something is as nuanced as this. The thing with cancel culture is it tends to ignore the nuance. Now, am I saying Doja should get a pass? No, I'm not saying that at all. But I am saying we need to have these harder conversations, particularly when there's nuance involved, and discuss the nuance and discuss how we can go forward and grow, not only for this person and what we would need to see from her if we choose not to forgive her in order for us to move past that and forgive her, but as to if a situation like this occurs again, what would kind of be the, not protocol for it, but the most acceptable route go. And it's all kind of a personal decision. The other thing with cancel culture is, like, a week or so, it'll all be forgotten. She'll bounce back. This isn't her first scandal. It probably won't be her last. So I'm sure she'll bounce back from it eventually. Like Kanye, he said some pretty fucked up shit. But people are still like, oh, well, I gotta buy that new Kanye. It slaps. The best thing to do is to get these people where it hurts. If you find something unacceptable, get these guys where it hurts. Get them financially. Don't support their music. Don't buy their merchandise. Don't give them attention or energy. Just let them fuck up. Honestly, while I can sympathize with some of the points that she was making, I did find a lot of the behavior completely unacceptable, and unless she shows going forward that, hey, I've changed, I'm a completely different person, she won't be having my support. I know people may feel differently, and kind of context is everything. If you look at the context of the situation, like I said, just because you can explain away something doesn't mean that you can excuse it. So again, it's kind of up to us as people to decide what we're okay with and what we're not, regardless of what the internet thinks. If you really feel that strongly about it, don't give her attention. Don't stream her music, don't watch her videos, don't buy her merch. Don't, bother to give her the energy, in my personal opinion. So that's really all I wanted to say about the whole Doja Cat thing. What do you guys think? Do you think that she should be forgiven? Do you think there's nothing to forgive and that the internet kind of blew everything out of proportion? Let me know in the comments down below. I'll see you guys next time. Bye, 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 bye.